As I mentioned, JavaScript has been around for quite a while now, and it was standardized in the late 90s into ECMAScript by the ECMA International Standards Body. It's a group that has quite a few standards under its purview. And if you take a look at the history here, you'll see what I'm talking about when I said that for a long time, JavaScript really hasn't evolved. Back in the mid to late 90s, the first couple of editions came out, but then between December 1999 and December 2009, so 10 years, the work done on the fourth edition was abandoned. So for pretty much 10 years, the first decade of the 21st century, JavaScript saw no improvements. Now, there were some substantial improvements in ES5. You might be aware of strict mode, for example. But for the most part, between December 2009 then and into 2015, so another 5 or 6 years here with nothing substantial once again. And that's why JavaScript feels like it's a language that hasn't evolved much. But as of ES6, there are serious improvements done, improvements that get me really excited about the language. And a year later, we have ES7 released. And what you should see in lockstep, once a year, there should be an update to JavaScript. Now, ES7 turns out to be a very small update. Just a few changes here and there, a few new small features. And that's probably what you'll see going forward now, because hopefully we won't have these periods of stagnation. So we should see a little bit come out each year. JavaScript will evolve a little bit more. So keep an eye on that. And if you're ever curious to find what the current state of JavaScript is, then this site in particular is an invaluable resource. And if you just Google for KANGAX, you'll find this site. It's a series of tables that show you the various different features that are introduced in each version of JavaScript, and it will also tell you about the browser support. So this is a great way to find out if a particular browser implements part of the ECMAScript spec. You can even go back to ES5, and of course ES6 is what we'll be covering in this course. But I'll also talk about a few things that are coming down the pipe. So for example, ES 2016 Plus has features that are being worked on now. Now, by the way, for the numbering, ES6 has also been numbered ES 2015, though a lot of people still refer to it as the 6th edition. So ES7 would be 2016, and it seems like that's what we'll have going forward. Each edition will increment and use the year for now, until somebody decides that we need a new way to market the specification and comes up with a new numbering scheme. This site is immensely helpful. If you drill into a particular version, you can find the support, as I was mentioning, across browsers, and you can drill into individual features like for of loops, and you can see specific aspects of these to see if perhaps there's partial support. Now in this course, I'm going to use Chrome throughout the whole entire course. I'll open up a new tab with the version information here. So I'm using Google Chrome version 52. And the reason I've chosen to do this is because everything I want to show you in this course, short of module loading, which is way at the end, everything is already implemented in Chrome. Chrome has really good support for ES6 functionality. You can see 97% support here. Now, one of the nice things about using Chrome is that I also pretty much cover the Node.js use cases. If you scroll to the right here, you'll see that Node is a greenish color like Chrome, and that's because behind the scenes they both use the V8 engine. So what I show you with Chrome will by and large work just fine with Node.js as well, though Node tends to lag a little bit behind in the V8 adoption, so it's oftentimes a little bit behind where Chrome is at in terms of the version of V8. If you'd like to use another browser, you're more than welcome to. As you can see, most of the other popular browsers, like Firefox, Edge, and even Safari, have great support for ES6. But as a consequence of choosing to run everything in the browser so that we have a consistent experience throughout this course, you'll oftentimes see that I include HTML pages with individual samples so that you can easily run the JavaScript in a browser. So I've done that throughout. It might seem a little weird, but I've done that so that you can always be running the code in a browser. We're not going to be running code in Node.js, for example, here and there. We'll stick with Chrome the whole time. If you take a look at the ECMAScript wiki, you'll see there's a section on goals with regards to the Harmony proposals, and Harmony is another name for ES6. You'll see there's a goals section here that explains the intent of all of these changes. And there's a clear indication here that there's a desire to make JavaScript a better language. Let me zoom in a bit here. We'll see that many of the improvements are about concision and clarity of code to make JavaScript, once again, a wonderful language. And you can also see here in the goals is to move toward a more simplified versioning process with JavaScript. And I think that's why we now have this incremental, smaller release that we'll see each year. If you scroll up to the top and take a look at the proposals that were a part of ES6, you'll notice that there are quite a few proposals that are a part of ES6. As I mentioned, I've cut through this into just the things that you're likely to use and gain a lot of benefit from on a day-to-day basis, and that's what I will bring to you in this course. I don't believe in teaching you things that are obscurities that you'll never use or you'll very rarely use or that you're highly unlikely to use, because then you'll have a hard time understanding what you should try to adopt and what you probably should worry about when the need arises. Okay, let's dive in and let's get started with one of my favorite new features, arrow functions.